My name is Elena Whitmore. I'm 32 years old, and until one ordinary Thursday morning, I genuinely believed I was in a stable, adult relationship built on trust. I had been with my boyfriend, Ryan Caldwell, for 2.5 years. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, one of those loud rooftop things where everyone's pretending to be cooler than they are. Ryan spilled a drink on my shoes. I laughed. He apologized too much. We talked for the rest of the night like we'd known each other longer than a few hours. A month later, we were officially together. Ryan worked in sales at a pharmaceutical company. Conferences, client meetings, regional travel, all normal. I worked from home most days. Flexible schedule, which meant I was usually the one doing airport drop-offs and late dinners when he got back. It worked. Or at least, I thought it did. Last month, he told me he had a work trip coming up. 3 days. Thursday morning to Saturday evening. Another city, another conference. He said it casually, like it barely registered as news. He'd done trips like this before. Always came back with complaints about uncomfortable chairs, boring panels, overpriced hotel food. Nothing dramatic, nothing suspicious. Thursday morning, I drove him to the airport. He was unusually upbeat, chatty, almost excited. He talked about sessions he wanted to attend, people he might run into, clients he hoped to impress. Kissed me goodbye at departures, lingered just a second longer than usual. "I'll call when I land," he said. He did. Around noon, he called to say everything was smooth. Hotel was decent. He was heading to the first session Friday morning. He sent a few texts throughout the day. Nothing detailed. Just sessions are long and grabbing dinner with the team. Normal stuff. Saturday afternoon, he texted that he was at the airport. Flight was on time. He'd see me soon. I picked him up that evening. He looked tired, a little off. But 3 days of networking will do that to anyone, right? We ordered takeout, half-watched a movie, went to bed. Sunday was quiet. Errands, laundry, grocery run. He seemed distant, but when I asked if he was okay, he said he was just exhausted from the trip. I believed him. Monday evening, I was scrolling through social media while he was in the shower. His company's page popped up. They were always posting updates, team lunches, office milestones. There was a post from Friday that stopped my thumb mid-scroll. Quiet week at headquarters, as we prep for next month's major conference. No team traveled this week. Everyone's here working hard on exciting new projects. I read it once, then again, then a third time. No team traveled this week, but Ryan had been gone from Thursday to Saturday. I screenshotted it. I didn't know why at the time. I just felt like I needed to hold on to it, like proof of something I wasn't ready to name. When he came out of the bathroom, towel around his waist, humming like nothing in the world was wrong, I was still staring at my phone. "What's up?" he asked, toweling his hair. "Nothing," I said quickly. "Just work stuff." He climbed into bed, scrolled through his own phone, turned off the light. I stayed awake for another hour, telling myself there were explanations. Maybe the post meant a specific department. Maybe the social media manager messed up the dates. Maybe I was overthinking. But something felt misaligned, like a painting hung just slightly crooked. The next morning, I decided to ask, casually. No accusations. "How was the conference last week?" I asked while he made coffee. "You didn't really talk much about it." "It was fine," he said, not looking at me. "Same old." "Did you learn anything useful?" "Not really, mostly networking." "Who went from your company?" He paused, just a fraction of a second. "The usual people, a few from sales, couple from marketing." He handed me a mug. Still no eye contact. "I've got to get ready for work." That evening, I checked the company page again. Photos from Monday, team lunch, someone's birthday. And there he was, sitting at a table, laughing. Tagged Monday, 12:30 p.m. So yes, he'd been back by then. That part checked out. But the Friday post still gnawed at me. I wanted to show him the screenshot, confront him directly. But if there was an innocent explanation, I'd look paranoid. And if there wasn't, I needed more than a feeling. So I waited. And that's when the message request came. I stared at the message request for a full minute before opening it. The profile photo was a generic landscape. No personal posts, barely any information. The name didn't ring a bell. "I work with your boyfriend. We need to talk. Can I call you?" My chest tightened in that slow, creeping way. Not panic yet, just dread stretching its fingers. I typed back, "Who is this?" The reply came almost instantly. "I can't explain everything over messages. Please, this is important." I gave her my number. The phone rang less than 30 seconds later. "Hello?" My voice didn't sound like mine. "Hi, thank you for answering," she said. A woman, mid-30s maybe, nervous, breathy. "I'm really sorry to reach out like this. I've been going back and forth all week, but I can't stay quiet anymore. My fingers dug into the couch cushion. About what? About Ryan and the trip he told you about. Everything inside me went cold. There was no conference, she continued softly. The company didn't send anyone anywhere last week. That post you saw on Friday, it wasn't a mistake. I sat down hard. Then where was he? She exhaled, like she'd been holding it in for days. He went away with someone, a woman from the office, his ex-girlfriend. They've been seeing each other again, for about 2 months. The room tilted. I pressed my feet into the floor like it might anchor me. You're sure? I asked, even though my body already knew the answer. I'm positive. I've seen them together. I heard them talking about the trip the week before. She was excited. He joked about how convincing the cover story was, about how you'd never suspect anything. I closed my eyes. Why are you telling me this? Because it's wrong, she said, and because I've met you before, at office events. You seem kind. You don't deserve this. Her description of the ex-girlfriend snapped something into focus. Tall, stylish, always dressed like she was stepping out of a magazine. I remembered her now, the way she'd barely acknowledged me at a company party, how Ryan had seemed a little too eager to impress her. When the call ended, I sat there in silence, phone still pressed to my ear long after the line went dead. That night I said nothing. Ryan came home cheerful, talking about client calls and weekend plans. I smiled when I was supposed to, asked questions, played my role. Inside, I felt hollow. The next morning, after he left for work, I searched the apartment. In the back of the closet, behind shoeboxes, I found it. An expensive watch in a gift bag. A card tucked underneath. For my favorite travel companion. Until next time. No signature. I photographed everything. Put it back exactly where it was. That evening, we went out to dinner like nothing was wrong. He talked about planning another trip soon. I nodded, barely tasting my food. You've been quiet lately, he said, reaching for my hand. I'm just tired, I replied. He smiled. Maybe we should get away together. The irony burned. Saturday morning, I pretended to leave for the day. An hour later, my phone buzzed. He's at the apartment. I'm so sorry. I turned the car around. The drive back felt unreal, like I was watching my hands steer instead of actually moving them. I parked down the street instead of our usual spot. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe. Some quiet part of me already understood this wasn't a normal walk back into my apartment. This was crossing a line you don't uncross. The hallway smelled like someone's laundry detergent and old carpet. Familiar, safe. It made my stomach twist. The door was locked. I still had my key. The click sounded too loud in the silence. The living room looked exactly the same. Couch cushions slightly indented from where we'd sat the night before. His jacket draped over the chair. My mug in the sink. Then I heard voices. From the bedroom, Ryan's voice. Unmistakable, relaxed, amused. Not the voice of a man worried about work or tired from travel. Another woman laughed. Her. I walked slowly, each step measured, like if I rushed, the moment might shatter before I could see it clearly. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. They were sitting on the bed, fully dressed, close, too close. His arm was around her shoulders. She was scrolling through something on her phone, leaning into him like it was the most natural thing in the world. I still can't believe she bought the Confront story, she said, laughing. I told you it was airtight. Ryan smirked. I knew she wouldn't question it. She trusts me too much. The words didn't stab. They settled, like dust after a collapse. I pushed the door open. They both jumped. Ryan's face drained of color. Her smile vanished so fast it was almost impressive. Oh, I said calmly. Don't stop on my account. This is enlightening. Elena, Ryan stood up too quickly. It's not what it looks like. I tilted my head. Really? Because it looks like you lied to me for months. Took a fake work trip with your ex-girlfriend, and now you're sitting in our bed laughing about how easy it was to fool me. She stood too, eyes darting toward the door. Ryan stepped toward me, then stopped. We were just talking. Then talk outside, I said, looking at her. You should go. She hesitated, then grabbed her bag and brushed past me without a word. The door clicked shut behind her. Ryan sat back down on the bed, hands in his hair. I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen. How long? I asked. 2 months, maybe 3. And the trip? He swallowed. It was with her. I nodded. The confirmation hurt less than the lies that came before it. Pack your things, I said. You're leaving tonight. What? I want you out. Stay with a friend. Stay with her. I don't care. But you're not staying here. He opened his mouth, then closed it. By evening, his clothes were gone, his laptop, a few books. The apartment was quiet again. Too quiet. The silence didn't lift when he left. It settled. The kind that presses against your ears until you start noticing things you never heard before. The refrigerator humming, the neighbor's TV bleeding through the wall, my own breathing when I stood still too long. Ryan texted once that night. "I'm really sorry, I never wanted to hurt you." I didn't respond. By morning, I'd changed the locks. That felt dramatic, even to me. But trust is a fragile thing. Once it cracks, you don't leave the door open and hope it fixes itself. The coworker who'd called me messaged later that day. "I heard what happened. I'm sorry it played out like that. If you need anything, I'm here." I thanked her. That was all. The first week was a blur. Ryan tried calling, left voicemails that started with apologies and ended with self-pity. Long texts about how he'd been confused, how seeing his ex-girlfriend again had stirred up unresolved feelings, how he never stopped caring about me. I blocked him after the third message. Mutual friends reached out carefully, like they were approaching a wild animal. A few days later, I heard he'd started telling people I was controlling, that I'd questioned him too much, that he'd felt trapped. It almost made me laugh. Classic rewrite. If he was the victim, then he didn't have to sit with what he'd done. I didn't defend myself. The people who mattered already knew who I was. The coworker told me his ex-girlfriend dumped him as soon as everything came out. Turns out he wasn't the only one being lied to. She'd had no idea I existed in the way I did. The sneaking around had been the thrill. Once it became real, it collapsed. Ryan's work performance tanked after that. Missed deadlines, sloppy presentations. He was let go a month later, not for the affair, but because everything else in his life started to unravel too. Karma doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it just waits. As for me, I focused on rebuilding things I'd let drift. I started going to the gym again, reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in months. The apartment felt emptier without his things, but also lighter, cleaner. Like something toxic had finally been aired out. 2 months later, he tried one last time. Showed up at the building. The doorman called to ask if I was expecting him. I wasn't. I told him to say I wasn't home. Ryan left a note. I threw it away without reading it. Some things don't deserve a final word. I sold the watch I'd found in the closet. Used the money to book a solo trip. Coast, ocean, space to think. And a few weeks ago, I started seeing someone new. Nothing serious yet. Just dinners. Conversations that don't feel like performances. He's honest. Grounded. No games. Someone asked me if I still trust people after everything. I do. What Ryan did says everything about him, and nothing about my ability to love, to believe, to choose better next time. I'm 32, single, healing, and for the first time in a long while, the future feels open again.